it's time for change. Change to everything and absolutely anything. But with that being said, the most obvious question could be how's this all to begin? And yet it has begun. So it's obviously that answer has already been answered. So of course this is to be a free exploration into the phrase that has been stated as you have to be cruel to be kind. Now, in thinking about this, I mean, I truly came to think, I mean, where do you actually begin with this, right? So it could be directed towards the side of parents teaching a young child something, right? And now, after teaching that child, let's say 10 times, right, that child still comes and asks them how to do this, whatever it is. And now the parents are, within this phrase, are, how could you say, turning their backs from the child, allowing the child to then do it themselves, right? But I mean, isn't this causing the state of pain and suffering? I mean, of course it is a loving notion in allowing the child to basically stand on his own feet and actually do whatever he wants to do because he knows how to do it. But the mere fact is, I mean, we can also direct this towards the scenario of, for instance, in many movies, right, the world has come under war, whatever it is, and now, who could you say, governmental authorities, right, are now stating that a certain amount of individuals have to die for the betterment of everybody else, right? Is this not also being cruel to be kind to the betterment of everybody else? I mean, if we had to put that into a realistic scenario, what happens if robbers had to come into your house, right, and say to you, okay, now you've got a wife and you've got 2 children, right, but now for the betterment of your 2 children, your wife has to die, right? And of course everybody is going to experience the state of suffering, right? But of course it's for the betterment of everybody's life. But in this, it's also coming to state, okay, now reverse that scenario and saying that your 2 children have to die for the betterment of saving your wife. Is this not being cruel to be kind as well? I mean, we have to reflect on the lesson that Buddha came to teach, that suffering does not end suffering, right? So, in stating of, I mean, if we had to think about it, I mean, the Bible has also come to describe us as existing as sinners, and whereby the Messiah, Jesus, whereby the word Messiah actually means Savior, and Christ actually means awakened one, recognizing that Christ, Jesus Christ, the awakened one, came to awaken us from a sinful state. But in describing us to exist with a sinful state, it's acknowledging that, again, the universe or whatever, the kingdom of God or whatever, and the archangels within the kingdom of God banished Satan to the physical earth, right, existing as a fallen archangel. Now again, he has come to exist as a great spirit, right? But in this, it's also coming to state that he fell with his demons, right? Recognizing that he fell with 6 other deadly demons, recognizing that this is then easily able to be directed towards the 7 deadly sins, acknowledging that, again, we have come to exist with 7 different chakras, right? And each chakra is able to be described as a church, right? But describing us as sinners is then associating us with the 7 deadly sins, recognizing that the state of the crown chakra is to be associated with the state of pride and hierarchy. The 3rd eye is to be associated with envy and jealousy. Throat is to be associated with wrath and anger. Heart is to be associated with the state of despair. Solar plexus is to be associated with the state of greed. Sacral is to be associated with the state of gluttony. Root is to be associated with the state of lust, right? So in being cruel to be kind, right, I mean, this is saying, okay, that a sinner has to do, right, that must do something for a loving notion, right? Acknowledging that, I mean, kindness has also been described as a loving notion. Acknowledging that, I mean, if we had to direct this towards the 7 virtues of life, whereby the crown is now associated with the state of humility, third eye is associated with the state of kindness, throat is associated with the state of forgiveness, heart associated with the state of passion, solar plexus with charity, sacral with temperance and patience, root is with chastity. Now, to be cruel, to be kind, I mean, what of the universe? I mean, everybody comes to blame. I mean, and there are so many individuals that come to blame the state of God for so many things that are happening within their lives. But let's say a great tsunami moved through this one city, which has happened many times across the world. But let's say now it moves through, right? Now, a lot of individuals are going to blame the state of God for that happening, right? Because now it's caused the state of suffering, right? But in this, it's basically cleansing the sinners. Basically, I mean, it's washing away all the sinners, right? So, I mean, is that not being for the betterment of mankind? I mean, what happens if this city is like doing like mass pollution and all of this? And now this great wave comes and moves in and like just destroys everything. And I mean, is that not for the betterment of mankind? I mean, is this not inflicting a state of cruelty for the betterment of mankind? I mean, what happens, for instance, I'm a young buck, right? Now gets born, right? Let's say an hour later, a pride of lions are now eating that young buck, right? Is this not inflicting a state of cruelty for the betterment of life? I mean, those lions have to eat. But I mean, they could have made the choice to go and eat something else. But they chose to hunt that specific buck. Out of all the bucks in this out of that entire area or whatever, or all the animals, that specific buck was specifically chosen to die, for them to be able to like live, right? Is this not, I mean, you have to be cruel to be kind. I mean, let's explore this even more. I mean, this is such a fascinating thing. I mean, how is it possible to, I mean, we have come to ask the universe as well for many things. Prayers. Individuals are praying left, right, and center, right? And yet, I mean, what happens if God had to turn away from them for themselves? For themselves to stand on their own? Is this not being a state of cruelty? But aren't we going to suffer? If we do not understand this, aren't we then going to suffer? If God's understanding is above all understanding, right? I mean, think about it. We have come to exist with the egotistical perspective state of thought consciousness, the state of awareness, as with the state of the emotional consciousness, right? Now, our ego minds is to be associated with a questionable state. I mean, we are able to question so many things within this physical state. It's unreal. We are even able to question ourselves. We are able to question individuals. I mean, think about it. The amount of things that we are able to question is infinite, right? And it's all basically, I mean, if it's unanswered, it's all basic and chaotic, right? Everything that is being questioned is within an infinite chaotic state, right? Now, if our state of awareness is to be associated with a known state, I mean, what are we able to know? I mean, I'm able to know something about myself today, and then tomorrow I might discover something else about myself, and then I'll know more. Tomorrow and the next day I'll discover something else about myself, and then I'll know more. And this might repeat. For 10 years this may repeat, and for 10 years I will know something more about myself than what I knew about myself in this present moment. I might know something, let's say, about a flower, right? In this present moment I know that that flower exists with color and exists with a scent, possibly exists with like some weird taste. It exists with a nice textured touch feeling. I mean, I'm able to hear this flower on a certain level and all that. But, I mean, what do I actually know about this flower? I mean, honestly, what do we know about anything? If we had to truly know about what we know about ourselves and what we know about anything else, what we know about a flower, what we know about a tree, what we know about a company, what we know about an organization, what we know about other individuals, what we actually know about this world and what we actually know about this universe is so small. It is so small. I mean, what we actually know is actually, and this is where I say it, what we know is able to be described as the state of a speck, right? I mean, it is infinite. I mean, what we, the unknown and what we know is so much greater than what we do know in this present moment. So if the known state is to be associated with the state of awareness, it's acknowledging that the state of awareness is constantly just exploring. It knows absolutely nothing, but yet it knows what it needs to know. How amazing is that? I mean, that is just like, wow. I mean, honestly, I mean, if we had to then reflect upon our emotions, I mean, our emotions is basically our truthful state. What I'm experiencing now in the present is what I'm experiencing. I am an experience and I am existing within an experience. If the earth and everything is an experience and I am infinite in the unknown and I'm infinite in question, what an experience, what an exploration I am, and what an exploration and experience and another individual is. I mean, wow, I mean, this is the thing. And people don't realize it. And then, of course, I'm going totally off track about this. But again, coming back onto the state of, you have to be cruel to be kind, alright? So if it's acknowledging that a loving notion, I mean, kindness is now being described as a loving notion, right? I mean, you have to be cruel to be kind. I mean, how does this possibly make sense? Right, again, it's describing us as individuals. It's describing us as sinners, right? That we have to be individuals to do a loving notion for somebody who likes us and who we like for the betterment of their life, right? Especially if it's helping them, right, in this life, right? But let's broaden this perspective, like totally, right? Exploring the state of numerology. Right? So many individuals have been mind-boggled about my exploration in this. Okay, let's set this out. Okay, the Earth, the universe. Right? The state of question, the infinite state of question, is a chaotic state. Right? This knowledge is totally unknown. Right? Totally unknown. It's totally being questioned. I mean, it's in a chaotic state. Right? And all of a sudden, a ball. Right? A ball. And I will explain why a ball. Right? A ball, right? How it came to exist within this chaotic state, right? Who knows, right? But it came to exist as a state of pure emotion, right? A ball, a sphere, whatever you want to call it, a ball, a circular shape, right? Call it a cell, whatever you want to call it, but a ball, right? Now, if you had to reflect on the mere factor of, I mean, as also been noticed in many other movies, I mean, I've envisioned this within a dream state and within an psychedelic experience and whatever. But if I were to imagine that this singular ball has now come to attract this infinite amount of questionable knowledge into its state. Right. It's within a spiral state. Again, it's in the existing everything, right? Has come to now sensationally attract into this one singular state, right? Right. and it has come to sensationally attract within it, right? Now, it's also acknowledging, right, that this infinite amount of knowledge, questionable knowledge, right, is also within a state of numbers, right? And I will say this exactly because the mere fact is that if scientists are measuring atom energy particles, right, energy particles, right, and they are measuring it within a state of numbers, right, it's acknowledging that everything has come to exist within a state of numbers, right? So it's acknowledging that again, that all this infinite amount of knowledge is again within a vibration in itself, right? And it's also within a circular shape as well, right? But now it has come to sensationally attract, again, it has been emotionally attracted unto this state of emotion, right? So now it's been sensationally attracted unto this one singular state of pure emotion, right? Into this one singular state of pure emotion. Let's say this one singular thing, ball now, is now knowledge, right? It's existing within a chaotic state, right? It's in the unknown. Another ball, tiny, right, comes in and inserts itself within this other ball of knowledge, right? And comes to give it life, right? Comes to give this knowledge life. Again, easily to be noticed that if you were to reflect upon a woman's egg and semen being inserted into the egg, this is exactly what's basically happening. I mean, honestly, if you had to basically literally think about it, this is what's basically happening. And then think about this, right? This ball is in a 360 degree, right? This way, right? 360, right? 3 and 6 is the number of 9, but it's acknowledging that the number of 9 is also the outward spiral and it's also the inward spiral again, right? So within the outward spiral, from this life existing within this ball of knowledge, right, it is coming to grow. For instance, if you had to think about this, I heard such an amazing thing the other day. I cannot remember which Buddhist spiritual leader it was, or which Swami it was, but the mere fact is they came to state that it's amazing to think that reflecting upon the seed of a tree, that a tree comes to grow from a singular seed, thus it comes to grow outward, right? Acknowledging that again this life within this ball of knowledge has come to grow outward, but it's now acknowledging that it has now changed the number state into alphabetical state, if you want to call it. I mean, we are able, again, reflecting upon the state of a ball, 360 degree, right? The symbol 360 and 360, 9 and 9. 9 and 9 is 18. 1 and 8 again is 9. This is the fingerprint of God. Now if we had to reflect upon how is this so, right? Reflecting upon a pine cone, you will see the spiral, right? And again, this pine cone, it's amazing to say this, but the mere fact is, at the Vatican City there is the biggest pine cone sculpture, and nobody can actually understand why, but the mere fact is that a pine cone closed is the state of an individual being closed within a sinful state, right? An enclosed being, right? But when the pine cone comes to open, it is acknowledging that this is symbolic to an awakened being, an enlightened being, more likely an awakened being of pure emotion, acknowledging that again Gautama Buddha came to one state that there would be another of pure emotion, acknowledging that Gautama Buddha explored the state of pure enlightenment, acknowledging that this was the state of wisdom, and whereby when Jesus came, he explored the state of pure emotion. Thus, it's acknowledging that these two individuals came to teach lessons unto everyone, right? And it's acknowledging that these lessons have sprouted in not only Buddhist belief, but in Hindu belief, Christian belief, Judaism, Rastafari. In every single religious belief, there is a state of saying that individuals, there is the exploration of the state of awareness. There are individuals exploring the state of prayer, right? So, now, right, acknowledging that this has come to exist, happen. This is the divine state, right, of pure emotion. This is the state of I that has come to attract this infinite amount of knowledge within itself. But now it has also come to give life to. Now this is easily able to be explored within sacred geometry as the sacred seed, right? Recognizing that there are now two, right? And then as it comes to grow again, it's then the tree and then there's the flower. But it's acknowledging again that through knowledge being given life, the divine state also came to acknowledge that it was everything. That it was the state of divine I am. That it was I am this, I am that. I am a plant, I am an insect. I am a bird, fish, animal, individual. I am absolutely anything and everything. I am the ocean, I am the sand, I mean, think about this. The divine state of I am has come to exist within everything. If we had to even think about this, that the mere fact is that matter is not even matter. Matter is just a cluster of knowledge captured in one state. And within, again, knowledge is able to be explored as an energy particle. Within the center of an energy particle is the energy particle Planck, right? And scientists have proven and stated that the amount of knowledge within the infinite energy particle, Planck energy particle, right, is within such an infinite state that it is only able to lead on to that of emotions. I mean, we have got scientists across the world in some laboratory sitting with one singular robot, feeding it a whole bunch of information constantly on a daily basis. They are just feeding it information. It is literally, they are wanting to give it emotion. I mean, that is their hopes, to give it emotion through knowledge. I mean, this is artificial AI. I mean, this is a demonic state within coming to life. I mean, if we had to think about it, if the divine state of I am is actual intelligence, this is artificial intelligence. You understand where I'm getting at. So the main fact is that if you had to look at your alphabet, right, and then count every single alphabetical letter, it's acknowledging that every single alphabetical letter is then to be associated with a numerical figure, right? But then it's also acknowledging that we have also come to originate from 12 different spiritual dimensional realms, right? So any numerical figure that is higher than a number of 12 is obviously to be added together, right, to create one singular figure, right? So with this being stated, it's then acknowledging that if you were to count, right, the letter of C, right, is to be associated with the number of 3. Counting the letter of R is to be associated with the number of 18. Counting a letter of U is to be associated with the number of 21. Counting the letter of E is to be associated with the letter of E. Counting the letter of L is to be associated with the number of 12. Exploring this even more, adding everything up together, it's acknowledging that it is then the word cruel is then to finally be associated with the number of 5, right? Now 5 is the 5th spiritual dimensional realm, right? Now it's acknowledging that again we have come to originate from the divine state of I am, which is the 10th spiritual dimensional realm, released through the 9th, again the fingerprint of God, unto the 8th, which is the kingdom of heaven, right? And the divine state of I am has also come to exist within the kingdom of heaven. But we have to acknowledge that beyond the physical state of the outer universe is the kingdom of heaven. Everything that we have come to see within a state of darkness, beyond that physical state is the spiritual state of light, whereby this is to be the kingdom of heaven. But it's then acknowledging that within this kingdom of heaven is also the state of Gaia, right? The earth spirit, right? And then this is to be the sixth spiritual dimensional realm, acknowledging that the kingdom of heaven has come to release all this infinite amount of knowledge and emotion unto the spiritual state of Gaia, which is the earth state, as spiritual state, for it to, of course, come to learn and come to know and come to create meaning, whereby coming to create all of existing life, that is to exist within the physical state of earth, this third spiritual dimensional realm. But again, it's acknowledging that within the sixth spiritual state is the fifth spiritual state, whereby this is to be the singular state of awareness, the singular spirit. This is us within a spiritual state, whereby cruel, if it's to be associated with the singular state of the spirit, it's then associating us with the state of awareness, right? So it's acknowledging that then, this is beyond the egotistical mind, right? So then we are then to react through emotion, recognizing that if our pride, our state of pride, right, has then come to turn away, right, from individuals, right, to, let's say, for them to stand on their own feet, right? It's our humble state that will be there for them, to help them constantly and continuously get back onto their feet. If the universe has also been described, or the state of God, or the state of divine state of I am has been described, that it is in a never-ending state of pure love and emotion, thus unconditional love, thus unconditional forgiveness, thus unconditional help, assistance, right? Is then to acknowledge that we should also then be these divine beings, these angelic beings. If we are constantly seeking God's help or the universe's help, we should then also be these humble divine beings to constantly help one another, right? This is a loving emotion. This is describing a humble state. This is basically stating, if we had to reflect upon the thought of how another phrase has been stated within our minds, that the mere fact is that true men don't lie, or true men don't cry. Everybody lies within the state. Come on now. Obviously, who doesn't say even the tiniest little white lie to not hurt somebody's feelings? Even that is wrong, but the mere fact is, we have to take other people's feelings into consideration. We have to understand that the state of truth is both within the state of the positive and negative. This is truth, that we will truthfully experience happiness, that we will truthfully experience suffering. Then again, this was again another lesson left by the Buddha, that physical suffering, mental suffering, and emotional suffering will exist within this physical state of existence, but it is to overcome that suffering, right? And it is overcoming that suffering through the notion of love, recognizing that, this is basically, we have to think about this, right? Jesus, right? Or the Buddha, or let's say another Swami, or let's say another Buddhist spiritual leader, or let's say somebody else, a Rastafari elder from a Rastafari culture, or whatever, had to come and teach these lessons, these spiritual lessons, right? Let's say now Jesus also came to teach many spiritual lessons and all of this. A lot of people with their egotistical minds are going to state, oh, but these individuals are now within a ego spirit, or a spiritual ego, or something got to do that. But the mere fact is, how is that so? When the mere fact is that we are constantly, if the state of awareness is with an equal state. None are teachers and none are learners, and everyone is a teacher and everyone is a learner. Thus, everyone is equal. Recognizing that the ego will always be threatened by the state of awareness, right? Recognizing that, truth is truth. You cannot deny truth. And the mere fact is that if we have to acknowledge that, I have gone so totally mind off this, but the mere fact is we have to acknowledge that the state of awareness is to always humbly teach and always humbly learn. If I'm able to teach a child of 5 years old, then I'm also able to learn from a bug, for instance. Recognizing that, again, we are doing so. We are learning from animals, plants, insects, and teaching it to our young, right? Of course, within this physical state of reality, this illusion of reality, this controlled and manipulated reality, individuals have come to know more about brands of different companies and organizations than what they have actually come to know about plants, animals, and insects, and birds, and individuals, and the earth entirely. But the mere fact is, it's the state of awareness that is always to be within the state of an equal state of humility, right? So, in saying that we have to be cruel to be kind, again, it's acknowledging that the word of cruel is associating us with the state of awareness, right? Recognizing that now beyond this physical state, again, we are sinners, obviously within this physical state, but beyond this physical state, we are able to awaken from this physical state into emotional beings, enlightened beings, recognizing that we are able to become humble beings, whereby is then coming to state that you have to be a humble being to be kind, to be you have to be cruel to be kind, so you have to be a humble being to be kind. This is it, and this is obviously, how much more, again, exploring the word of kind, right? If we had to think about this, exploring it within numerology, again, counting each letter, again, kind is to be associated with the number of 11, I is to be associated with the number of 9, N is to be associated with the number 14, and D is to be associated with the number 4, right? Add it all up together, comes overall, finally and eventually, the word of kind is to be associated with the number of 11. Now, the number of 11 is to be associated with the 11th spiritual dimensional realm. So it's to think about this, that what happens if the divine state of I am never came to know about you at all, never came to know about your existence. For some reason, your chaotic knowledge just got left out there. The divine state of I am isn't complete. The divine state of everything isn't complete. Recognizing that, the 11th spiritual dimensional realm is basically when the 10th spiritual dimensional realm came to sensationally attract. Again, the ball came to attract all this chaotic knowledge. That was it, the state of acceptance. This was purely a state of acceptance, to just accept, the state of awareness. Again, if we had to think about it, on this context, our minds is to be associated with the egotistical perspective state of thought consciousness, thus to be associated with the state of question. Our hearts are to be associated with the emotional consciousness, thus the state of pure emotion. Our lungs has been described as the seat of where our spirit sits, right? So this is the existing place of the state of awareness. Now if we had to think about this, our lungs are just breathing in and out air on a daily basis, but in a total state of pure acceptance. This is also associating it with the state of humility, the state of equality. Again, it is through the state of awareness that we are to do a loving notion, that is to be a helpful notion unto somebody else. Again, this is, this is to do a loving notion. Love is unconditional, and we have to acknowledge that the state of awareness is attracted to the state of unity. It's attracted to being together. If we had to think about it, this egotistical perspective state of thought consciousness has always come to distinguish between the positive and the negative. And the state of awareness has always just accepted, always just in a state of constant acceptance, right? So we have to understand that this is our truthful state. This is our state of pure, our spiritual state, right? To just constantly accept, right? And the mere fact is that through this, it's creating a state of unity. Again, acknowledging that it's the egotistical perspective state of thought consciousness that has come to create the states of suffering, the states of separatism, and again, it is just tearing people apart, left, right, and center. It's everywhere. It's just getting worse and worse, and then people don't awaken and enlighten themselves into more divine beings. Who knows where it's gonna go? Really and truly. So the mere fact is, this is the lesson. This is the lesson, and if that is with an equal understanding, then may it be so. Namaste.